not looking like an idiot.
Too late, already started. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever the hell you are in the world, and welcome to Scitrek, your sci-fi TV and movie channel. And literally, after I said I'm going live, Harris then went, "Wait 1 second, too late."
I realized the lights were still on.
It had happened. We were doing it. So, before we get into it, this is our 100th Scitrek live video. 100th.
That's weird, man.
Yeah. I only put our weekend ones. Sometimes I put our midweek episodes in this playlist, but yeah, 100th. So that's pretty cool. Let's see who's in the chat. Sarah, hello. Mr.
Howdy.
Hello. Brain Pain.
Brain Pain. Laura.
What?
Minus 8 degrees. I look like I'm dressed for that, but I'm not. And ooh, that does not sound fun.
Ay.
Ugh.
Hey.
Talk about some brain pain. I mean, shoot.
I'm more thinking of extremities pain. Just make sure the bloody finger don't drop off or anything.
For real.
But yeah, hello everybody. So we're just having a quick hangout. Matt couldn't join us. He was doing something. Matt 1T, by the way. He keeps spelling his name with 2 T's, but he's realized it was a mistake. Keeps yelling at me, "You're spelling my name wrong. You're spelling my name wrong." And then he realized, oh no, he was spelling his name wrong. It's 1T. Probably. We all know on this channel that I'm always right, or I have a massive straw and throw my toys out the pram.
No comment.
Or hold the post open as long as possible until I win. But
effective. It's an effective strategy.
And it works. God damn it. So we are going to be having a little bit of a chat about. I just remembered I'm going to put a post up now for something we're going to chat about in a minute. So, what have you been up to this week, young Harris? Other than giving blood for 6 days, you were there
that. Oh my god!
I had some of your blood injected into my chin. Look.
The what?
I had some of your blood injected into my face, and I've sprouted a really shit goatee. Right. So I tell you what, I haven't shaved this in a week. This is a week's growth, by the way. That's how girly I am. Look, it's pathetic. I hadn't shaved for a couple of days, and my wife, hey, how you doing, Batman?
Howdy.
My wife went, "You got to shave that off. It looks ridiculous." But she went, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to shave it off." No, it looks. And she really went on about it, and I went, "Look, you're pushing me now. I'm just gonna not shave it if you're going too far." And she's like,
3 months of no shave.
Yeah, she kept it going, and I think, right, okay, I'm not shaving. So, and most of it, I haven't shaved the sides. I just don't grow a beard. I have the worst beard in history. My lad wants me, goes, "You're going to do Movember and grow a mustache."
Yeah.
Try.
How tempting.
Will happen.
I think we should do the first quarter of the year. All three of us grow the best goatees that we can. Obviously, Stormy and I have gotten a little bit ahead of the curve here.
You're well ahead.
But we'll do a concession bracket as well.
Yeah. I will get I tried award. The in PE kit when the stupid kid comes.
Whatever
last.
Trophy.
Well done, you got involved. Well done, you. I get you got involved in the goatee.
The world of goatees. Tis a good world. I can speak too.
Yeah. Just a second. I am just putting a poll on our main channel.
A poll? What kind of poll?
Out of the.
What kind of poll?
So, Brad Wright needs to run a new Stargate show, and not that type of poll. When you clean that poll, does it squeak? I'm not going to do the hand gesture of how you would clean it because we're a family show. But,
is it bad? I don't think I've ever cleaned it, but I don't use it either. So it's just kind of here.
Right. Okay. So Brad Wright needs to run the new Stargate show. Emotion out of the decision. So not an emotional decision, a logical decision. Yes or no. Post. Now, why have I done that? You might be all going, why has he done that? It's because we never mention Stargate in this channel. So it's just seems like, yeah, it's this show, mate, with this big like donut thing. The Simpsons donuts. Next week we are having another one of our presidential debates. Are we not, young Harris?
I believe we are. And this one frightens me just a little bit.
Yeah.
Not truly, but I'm debating the side that is Brad Wright shouldn't be part of it.
No, and Brad Wright.
Preface said, I love me some Brad Wright and I want him to be a part of it, but I will convince you that he doesn't need to be.
Well, Ramonas has just put an interesting comment in the thing, but we'll discuss that in a second. I am arguing for Brad Wright, that Brad Wright should showrun, and we will add the preface that he was showrun the show, right? Not that he's just involved. We all want him involved, so we're going to change the.
Oh, that makes my argument. Okay. All right.
Okay. Makes your life a little bit easier, I think.
Significant.
So I've put that poll up. We're going to get that, and then we're going to see how we get on with the discussion, and we'll have a couple of polls between now and then to try to get a footing of where we are. Good luck with that, Harris.
Yep.
I feel I've won this already.
But as of now,
well, we're going to make people think.
That's of course. Well, I'm glad that you just said that. I guess the caveat that it would be him show running and not necessarily him just like involved in like even not like a hands off version of Feige kind of deal.
Not
because that changes the argument entirely, which is good.
Showrun
makes it
because we can all easier argue that he should be involved. He's earned the right to be involved.
Did I freeze? Did you freeze? Someone's frozen. You there?
You're stuttering a little bit. Or let me double check that my I keep forgetting to turn my green screen off, even though I haven't got a green screen behind me. La 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 la.
Who froze, chat? Help us out. Help us figure out technicalities.
I can't see you very well at all. But is that because it's me, my internet going, or got 35 people watching, and apparently,
yeah, mine's been perfectly fine so far up until that little freeze right there. Which, hold up, let me open this door for this cat real quick. It wants to go outside.
Well, hopefully, guys, you can still see me. But yes, tell us if we're having technical issues, guys. Get into the comments and tell us. So,
I'm jerky. Interesting.
It's you that I'm struggling with. So, guys, sometimes such streams start with depressing, as there is no real progress on the Stargate reboot. There isn't. It just goes round and round in circles. So, if you would compare the start of 2024 with the start of 2023, is anything different? Right. Yes. It's 2024. So that's different. Yeah. We're not going to have a bunch of strikes in 2024. Different. So
besides the video game strikes, but that doesn't affect Stargate.
That's not going to affect Stargate. So yeah. I've got a video straight after this asking about whether the MGM slate development thing that comes out in the next couple of days will have Stargate on it or not. And we won't cut into that because obviously watch the video and comment on that. So let's not go into it too much. But I will say to this that there is one. I've had a couple of people speak to me, and they're saying that look, the plan is that they will be at San Diego Comic-Con in force for the Stargate project, and there are plans already in place for it. But I've had a couple of people say to me it will be to announce because it's going to be the big movie and thing. But I've said, and I've had a couple of people say that no, it's not to announce. It's to do the big sort of like celebration thing up there. So it'll be announced already, but then that'll be them getting the cast on, getting the thing. Maybe even if filming has started, maybe even show us a few things. So which I think is more likely. I don't think we're going to have another 6 months till San Diego Comic-Con and them not have announced it by then. They'll have announced it by then. But if it's a TV series, it is actually where I normally stream from. It is. So like there's my stuff in the background. It's just I'm not using the green screen. So and I've actually my desk is turned around. I'll turn my desk around. So Yeah, your Wi-Fi today sucks, young Harriser. So let's see what happens. But I think it's interesting that they've shut up shop again. In 2023, we know they decided they were going to announce this at San Diego Comic-Con. And it was going to happen. And then around March, everything went dead quiet. And nothing was coming out. I mean, if you remember, you guys, I was telling you guys last time, I've always been told just before the announcement it'll go dead quiet. Nothing will leak out. They'll really lock things down, sort of thing. Because the other thing is no one's talking about it anymore, so there aren't any whispers around town, sort of thing, because it's been decided and they know what they're doing. So there's nothing to whisper about, sort of thing. It's happened again. It's all gone dead quiet again. So I'm hoping that means something, but we'll see. We'll see. Rashford scored. Yay, it's 2-1. Come on, United. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about today. We've got the video at 6. Please watch that, guys. Put a thumbs up on it and tell me what you think. Harris, you watched the end of Monarch. I haven't watched the end of Monarch because I've got my grandson and he won't let me. So, can you tell us a little bit about the final episode of Monarch, and is it worth watching? Should the lovely people give it a go?
I think it is worth watching. It's probably the best of the series, in my opinion. It's the most action-packed for sure. Or maybe not as much as the penultimate episode, but those 2 episodes are definitely the most action-packed, which feels necessary, because I think you were kind of on the same wavelength as me, as like, this is a very well-made TV show. But it's boring as hell, and they could be doing a lot more with what they actually have. Like,
considering the money they spent on it, that thing. Yeah, we are out of sync. We've got a little bit of a Wi-Fi issue over at Harris's side, but some of these things. It was fine a minute ago, so I'm sure it'll clear up.
I'm trying to get on either my TV or my phone to figure out.
They actually, Rough Rider just said Amazon just laid off half of the company. They didn't. They've laid off 700-ish people worldwide. It's not going to. That's nothing compared to what Amazon own, and a big part of that is Eastern Asia anyway. So it's not quite as bad as it sounds. But yeah, several hundred.
It was 700, right?
I just said several hundred.
Because I did it for MGM and Prime, which was just a lot.
It's the studios, so it's MGM Prime, Twitch. And a couple of other little things that Amazon are involved in, but then they have offices all over the world. So that's not 700 people from Culver Studios. There's offices in Britain, there's offices in Eastern Europe, there's offices in Eastern Asia. It's several hundred out of thousands of employees. So it's not quite as bad as it sounds.
Okay, well that's a little bit better.
Yeah, still a good chunk, but it's not ridiculous sort of thing. But anyway, so do we see Godzilla in Monarch?
I mean, you don't really see. I mean, you've seen up until the last episode, right?
Yes. Yeah. So I might have lost. I might be 2 behind actually.
Okay. Well, you do remember seeing Godzilla in like the middle of the season, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that's really the only time you see him to that degree.
Was that a flashback though? That was a flashback, wasn't it?
No, that was actually happening. Because that's where their dad, the 2 half siblings from across the world, are Monarch. We're talking Monarch right now. You don't see Godzilla in that same pedigree, I guess, in the last episodes, but you get his feel. You know, he weighs important upon the series, like he always does, especially with Keiko, Bill Randa, and Lee Shaw getting Monarch set up and kind of to fruition in general. But there's not much monster anything happening in the last episode, even though it is still the best episode, which is kind of odd. They show you more like they show you some clips and stuff from like past projects and things like that. Yeah. You do actually, I take that back. You do get 2 or 3 really good monsters in a much more subtle way. So you get more monsters, but it's not necessarily, like I said, it's not that pedigree where you don't get to like hang out with somebody that you want to be like, oh, this is Godzilla or this is whatchamacallit. Yeah, I mean, you do see them, but you don't see them. Actually, you do see him, because what I'm talking about, you see him very shortly. He does one really cool thing, and I don't necessarily want to spoil it for you.
Okay.
I will say, do you care if I spoil the very last scene for you?
Go on,
might actually entice you.
Worldwide. Go on.
Oh, spoiler real quick, y'all. The last literal like frame of the scenes in Monarch, Legacy of Monsters, is I don't necessarily want to give you the concept of it either, but anyway, you see King Kong, because I don't want to spoil too much, but King Kong is like in like the very final moments of the season 1 of Legacy.
Setting up the movie then. Kong. Do we think that's a bit of a setup for the Kong X, whatever it's called?
Well, no, not for that one. I think season 2 of Monarch will do something like that. Do you want me to give you the concept, or do you want me to?
No, leave it. Leave it. Let's talk about it when I get a chance to watch it, or I'm going to.
Because those last 2 episodes are where you'll get that concept, and it does involve going into like something I've been watching all week, the underworld, just not the underworld with vampires and werewolves and stuff. The underworld of
vampires. All the vampires wear really tight leather. That was awesome.
Oh yeah, Beckinsale.
If you had to pick Monarch or Godzilla -1, what are you picking?
Oh, Godzilla -1 in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Godzilla -1 is genuinely genius.
Even though I thoroughly enjoy the recent. I like all of the Godzilla and King Kong movies. The most recent one I feel like had the most potential and almost reached it, and the studio kind of kept it from getting to the point it should have gotten to. But I'd still choose Godzilla -1 over any of them. And I really like some of the new ones just for blockbuster popcorn kind of aesthetics, but give me some -1.
They're definitely cinema movies. They're really, really good. I'm watching For All Mankind at the moment. It's my I'm at work and I'm pretending to do things show at the moment. So I always have something on ticking over in the background when I'm working, but I'm not that busy.
Just watching it.
I found the first season incredibly boring, but my God, the second season really, towards the end of the first season, it really picked up. I struggled with it at first. I don't particularly like the lead actor massively.
Joel Kinnaman?
Yeah, the guy was in RoboCop and what have you.
Yeah, Rick Flag.
I'm not a massive fan of him. But it's his voice or something. I just find him a bit monotone, and do you want me to talk about? Do you want to restart and I'll talk about Stargate for a minute? See if that helps.
Yeah, sure. That'll be easy.
Yeah, let's do that, and I'll talk about Stargate for a minute. All right. While we're waiting for young Harris to come back, we will talk about Echo as well. I've had a few. No, we'll talk about Stargate quickly, then we'll talk about Echo when Harris comes back, because I've had a few comments from a video I did a couple of days ago of people misinterpreting one or two things I said. But anyway, the difference between the start of 2023 and start of 2024, really, there isn't. There's a couple of major differences. One, I think the possibility of a TV show is actually more real now than it was in 2023. In 2023, at the start of 2023, it was just going to be a movie. There was no major decision. There was this idea of this franchise, but it was really dependent on the movie doing well. They were looking at getting 2 or 3 studios and maybe having a couple of projects running at the same time, but they hadn't really gone beyond the movie plan, and maybe even a trilogy of movie plan. Now the movie plan isn't as locked in as it was. This may just become a TV show, maybe with TV movies. I'm hearing that is more likely now than it was before, so that's different. But the main thing is we're not going to have 9 months of strikes that are going to change this decision. This was decided. This was going to be announced at San Diego Comic-Con. The strikes stopped it. And then at the end of the strikes, Amazon had to have 3 or 4 months getting back up to speed. And that's been widely reported now that it actually did take Amazon a bit longer than it took a few of the other studios to get back going. Raging J or J Smash video. I was raging slightly, Davey. I was really, really not happy, but we'll talk about that in a minute. And I think that's the main difference now, that 2024, they're confident they're running through. Another big difference, though, and this is related to the movie, studios have realized that the cinemas are maybe not going to recover. I think the general assumption was the end of 2022, 2023, that 2023 would bounce back, that we would see bums in seats at cinemas similar to pre-COVID levels. And it's just not happened. Other than one or two movies that have done well, 2023 has been a disappointing year on the whole, even though records were broken by a couple of movies, Barbie and me. Harris, such a nuisance. It's the young people today. Can't be relied to do anything. There's now a general acceptance 12 months on that it's not going to. And in fact, the expectation is that there's going to be even less bums in seats next year. And actually that the US cinema market is expected to drop by about 10% in 2024 compared to 2023. And overall, 2023 wasn't great. So there really is an issue. Part of that big drop, though, is going to be that there's going to be less stuff being released because of the strikes. There's that lag effect. So that is going to be part of it. But also there's just a generalization that cinema is going to really, really struggle for the next few years at least. There's an idea, I was speaking to one person who said, but basically this happened with videos. When videos were released, streaming services have got now so widespread. And you've got to remember as well, it was really COVID when we saw like Disney Plus and a couple of others really kick in. And that's when we stopped seeing, or we started seeing Disney movies and Fox movies as well on streaming platforms really quickly. And that trend has continued. That people think, well, why bother going to the cinema? It's going to be on streaming in a couple of months. We saw that with video releases. At first, people stopped going to the cinema because they were buying it they were going to the video shop instead, and going to the video shop became a thing. There really is. But it did swing back. People did swing back. I do think, though, there is a point that one person I was speaking to made, that he was basically saying that the younger people today don't go to the cinema to go out anymore. They don't socialize the same. A lot of teenagers don't go out at all. They socialize through their games. They socialize through social media and things. People just don't go out as much as they used to. And that's a big problem, because if younger people aren't going to the cinema, older people don't particularly either. So there is a big problem that the younger people generation in particular are so used to using their streaming services and watching things through their phone, and that they just watch TV. My kids watch TV completely differently. I've told you this, guys, before, that I got Sky TV here in the UK, and it's basically our version of cable. And I turned all the cartoon channels on, and I had to pay for that. It was an extra thing, part of the bundle. And the problem was, I suddenly realized after about 6 months, I was the only one watching it. And they were young at the time. They were like 7 or 8. They watched YouTube. They didn't watch the Cartoon Networks. Hey, we can see him. He's non-blurry. So I suddenly realized I was the only one watching cartoons. Anyway. Gaming and movies. Yeah, gaming and movies. It's weekend. So, before we get into... Well, now we've spoken about that. You're frozen again. Young people today. No, he hasn't. He's not back. He's not. It's rubbish. So anyway, that is a big part of why... I'm just going to knock him out because it's... Let's see if he reappears in a second. That's a big reason why I think the TV series now all of a sudden has a little bit more of a possibility than it did. Another thing that's actually good for the TV series, maybe not if you're in America, is that MGM Plus is actually doing very well. It's actually exceeded most expectations. All the things that they had in Amazon's expectations, particularly for the United States, of MGM growth, they've exceeded it. So I'm going to talk about this in my video at 6 p.m. really, to be honest. But there's but you guys, you're the lovely live audience. You turn up for the live, so I can tell you. There really is an expectation that what now MGM Plus needs to push onto that next stage, and they are trying to push MGM Plus more into new territories and things this year, and really trying to push it. Is that they need that tentpole project? They need Stargate, and if they can get Stargate and MGM Plus, that will be the draw for people. You know, guys, I'm always talking here about how each streaming service wants that TV show that people will follow, that people get excited about and they'll follow. Babylon 5 is one of those shows that will, if Apple were interested in it, because they know people will go to Apple to watch it. New projects are great, but if you can get something that people already love and will be interested to watch, they will sign on to go and watch it. And the streaming people know that the bulk of people that sign on to a streaming platform never turn it off. If you can get them, you keep, I think it's about 4 and 5 or something. If you can get them, they never go, because we're useless with things like that, aren't we? It's like that old joke about your gym membership that nobody ever uses. You go on the 1st of November thinking, I'm going to buff up and I'm going to get fit. And then you never go. But you carry on paying the direct debit. It's like, that does happen. I'm still playing for Disney Plus at the moment, and I don't know why, other than Echo. I haven't watched anything on Disney Plus in ages, but I haven't turned it off. I can't turn it off, though. Every so often I get a Firefly itch that I need to scratch. That's one of the few shows I actually don't have. Warrior King is actually Warrior King is actually is a really good show. Actually, I really like it. They need, obviously, a tentpole in lots of different genres, though, don't they? So yeah, that's what we're looking at the moment. So I think actually a lot is different, to be honest. The more you think about it, the more you say that it is different. Amazon's organization of MGM is much better now. They've absorbed MGM completely now. MGM really doesn't exist anymore. It's Amazon MGM. They've still got there a couple of offices, but MGM as an entity doesn't really exist anymore. So that's been sorted this year as well. During the strikes, that accelerated. Amazon own more studio space now. At the time of when 2023, I think they control 6. I think they own about a dozen now, and by the summer they'll be controlling. They don't own them, but they rent them. Another dozen. So that's another thing that's better now than it was then. So yeah, I think Amazon are more ready. Alex Ryder, I think Babylon 5 is going to end up on Freevee. I honestly think that if I'm going to make a proposal, if Babylon 5 ever does get made, it'll end up on Freevee. And what MGM will do with Stargate, it will go on MGM Plus first. It just will. We might see the first episode or like a TV movie on Amazon Prime first to excite people, and then it'll go to MGM Plus. And then what the chances are what will happen is when season 2 of the Stargate series does come out, assuming they go the series route, or when they do the series route, Prime will then show season 1 a couple of months before season 2 comes out, and then you'll see something. So you'll get to see it on Prime, but if you want to see it sooner, you'll have to go to MGM Plus. Also, there's going to be a bunch of new movies and things on MGM Plus that no, Kev. Jennifer Salke is not at any risk of being sacked at Amazon. She really is the main woman at MGM. It is true that there is rumblings coming from Amazon about why aren't they moving faster with the MGM franchises that they're supposed to have been doing. We had all these plans, and again, the strikes put everything back 6 months and meant that the studio wasn't prepared. But I know that Mike, the guy, basically Jennifer Salke's main boss, Mike Hopkins, was not happy that the studio wasn't ready when they came back. That's not good. Right. No.
Third time's a charm. No.
Oh, well, there's a weird noise and crackling, but no, you seem okay now. So there's some weird crackling noise. Live shows are awesome. Last time you were having your blood drained, so you missed a live show, and now your internet's rubbish.
I don't know what's
No. She did get in trouble with we're just talking about Jennifer Salke. They are not upset about the money they spent on Rings of Power, which that was one rumor that was going around that Jennifer Salke was being blamed for that, but she didn't actually sign off on that. That was Mike Hopkins who signed off on Rings of Power. The one thing they were unhappy about, though, was the organization at the end of the strikes. That Mike Hopkins was unhappy about that. And yes, Michael Wright is still at MGM. He's the head of MGM, but he actually does several things. He's the head of MGM Plus. He's the head of 2 or 3 other things as well. He's got his fingers in lots of pies over at MGM.
All the pies.
Yeah, many pies. Echo. I did a very
probably the wokest thing I've seen in years. I couldn't help it. I had to.
Yeah, man. It's just it wasn't that this guy, right? So if you haven't seen it, I did a video a couple of days ago. I'm sure you guys will have seen it all. But I was furious. I was so angry at this bellend. And I'm using that. I feel like that you calling him a bellend like insults bellends because he was worse. And it wasn't that he was calling the show woke, to be honest, even though that I just thought that's not fair. Come on. He was racist, sexist, and disablest, and he used wording that I cannot repeat on a live because it's offensive. You would not call anybody this unless you were trying to, it was really made me angry. And he has been blocked. He has been blocked from the channel. I don't like people, but he's gone. I'm not having people being.
Well, you said the guy hadn't even watched the show yet either. So how can you actually form an opinion on anything you don't know anything about?
Yeah, exactly. He just decided this is more Disney crap. And I think this show, don't get me wrong, the pacing's a bit, it could speed up a little bit. But I'm enjoying it. I think this feels more like Netflix Marvel than Marvel. I think it is. I think it's more in that. Don't get me wrong. I still think Netflix was better, but it's more in that direction.
Yeah. See, okay, so 36% of me is Norse, hence all of this. But I got the blood to prove it. I got the documents to prove it. I'm a quarter Cherokee and an 8th Choctaw, which means I can apply for a casino one day. But I'm not thinking about that at all. I don't know what you're talking about. But I'm a quarter Choctaw. My birth grandma, who I really got to like hang out with and meet and talk to, because I am adopted, so I don't get to meet everybody all the time, kind of deal. But I got to talk to her about being Choctaw and stuff this past year, which is really cool, because she has all the history about like everything, yada yada. And I mean, you and I have both been watching Yellowstone. There's a lot of great indigenous actors, just generally. They have them in the show, and they utilize absolutely -% of any of them. It's the most. And I got to preface this too, just because we're in such a the Choctaw culture between What If and Echo. I think inclusion was amazing.
Yeah.
And I have to preface this because the internet's just the way it is. I don't mind deaf actors. I like deaf actors. The guy from Coda that won an Oscar, I'm pretty sure he won an Oscar. Fan-frickin-tastic. But Alaqua Cox might be more of a wooden actress than Natasha Luberdizo as Sabine. Like, those are just two people that they look great for the role, but they're not acting at all. It's just, I mean, it's so... I understand that acting, especially from a deaf perspective, would be a lot more difficult because you have to invoke emotion strictly through facial expressions and things like that. But there just ain't any facial expressions coming off of Alaqua Cox until about 5 seconds, everything that happens, it takes about 5 or 6 seconds for her to realize what's actually happening in the series, which it makes sense, but it screws the pacing up completely, and there's ways to work around that in editing, and it makes it seem like deaf people are one step behind people that can hear in the show, I feel like. And I think that is just a wrong form of representation, I think, at the end of the day. Like, you don't want to, this thing, like, you're showing how cool this character can be, even with quote-unquote disabilities. All right, you're holding her back at every turn for something that, like, and it's not only, like, in action scenes and stuff like that, it's when she's in conversation. She can't actually keep up with the conversation most of the time, which sucks. And you work that into it, of course, but damn,
that's not acting though, is it? Though, like you said, it's the editing. Surely it's this the director and the editor that you got to have a word with, because that could be easily fixed.
I usually, yes, I would say opposite of that, because it's an editor is doing that to make it seem like that's actually happening versus her acting well enough where it just feels natural, pacing-wise. That's an editor having to repace her already slow pacing things, which if this is happening in the TV show and it takes that little time off, that means it's usually longer in real life and on set, acting-wise. I did enjoy Echo. I just didn't find myself caring for the show at all by the end of it. And that's not what I should really be feeling by the end of the show. I was somewhere between general enjoyment and just not caring. It wasn't a bad show.
I'm only 3 episodes in because I have to work for a living and got grandkids that demand my constant attention. But I don't agree with you. I don't see any issue with her acting. I think she's not a massively likable character, but you're not supposed to, because she's still, I mean, like I say, if you're still feeling like that by the end of it, surely it's supposed to be a redemption arc. If I still feel like that by the end, but I don't particularly like her character, but that's because I'm not supposed to. She's supposed to still be selfish and self-absorbed and, trying to deal with what's happened. And but I feel I've forgotten his name. The guy that plays the Kingpin.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah. Oh my God, he's such a good actor that anybody he's in the room with he's going to outshine. He just is.
Well, when I can't even say her name now. Alakwa Cox is with him. I feel like her acting does elevate to his level, which is weird because the rest of the cast is great. But every time, I think my biggest problem is every time she's anywhere else, where I get it, because once again, it's a deaf actress. The whole story is following her, but she's just not in her own show all that much. Like a solid, I would say probably 60%, 70% of the show she's probably in. But if you're like that main character, that the title of the show is your name, it should be at least 85, 90% of the show. And I get why they don't do it, but it takes me out of her story a lot of the time. I don't know.
It's too old. Yeah, no, I say again, I haven't really seen that as well, but there is a big cast here. There is a lot of things going on, and like I said, I'm only 3 in, so I can't, I don't want to go on about it too much. They did. It does feel like it's been boiled down. It does feel like it's cracking along. They have spent some money. I think Disney in particular, Marvel, have gone on and on and on about this is a new start for Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly think they have. I said this shouldn't have been called Marvel. It should have been called Marvel Spotlight. It should have been called Marvel. Oh, remember that stuff we did at Netflix? Let's do something like that. Because to me, that's what this felt like. I wouldn't say this is on par with the first season of Daredevil, because that is some of the best Marvel we've ever seen. I thought it was phenomenal. But it's on par with like Iron Fist or something like that.
Okay. It's on par with Iron Fist. I don't think it's anywhere on par with Jessica Jones, Daredevil, or Luke Cage, honestly.
I would say it's on par with Luke Cage for me. I never liked Luke Cage, though, particularly. I wouldn't watch Luke Cage again. I would say it's better than Luke Cage for me.
Okay.
But I didn't like Luke Cage. I found the show quite boring. I didn't like it. I didn't like the character particularly. I didn't like Jessica Jones. I loved the first season of Jessica Jones. So,
David Tennant is Purple Man. I can't believe they killed him. Like, come on.
Yeah. Oh, they're so stupid. The first and third seasons of Daredevil were brilliant. The second season was not great. Yeah, I honestly, it would be, yeah, I would, yeah, the second season of Iron Fist was better.
I did enjoy that a lot better, a lot more.
In parts, it was really, really good. Iron Fist. You know what the mistake of Iron Fist was? The casting of Iron Fist. If they'd have got somebody, I don't know, different. I don't know what it was about him that was just wrong, but I wanted to punch him in the face all the way through, and I don't. I can't tell you why though.
I like the actor. He's great in Game of Thrones and everything else, but it just didn't work.
No, it was just wrong. But then you had the girl that was in it and stuff like that, and that was amazing. Punisher was amazing. Yeah, we had a lot of really, really good Netflix shows, and I wish they hadn't stopped in a way. I wish Netflix and Marvel and Disney could have struck some deal to allow them to continue because they were great. We've had to wait 5 years because that was in the deal with Netflix that Disney were not allowed to do anything from these shows for 5 years.
Well, you saw that, I think, with the Daredevil Born Again script that they just said that they're bringing Deborah Ann Wool and what's his name? I can't think of the actor's name right now, but the guy that played Foggy Nelson, and they're actually bringing them back because they weren't planning on that originally, which I'm very happy that they are. I'm not yucking on your yum. I don't want to yuck on your yum, but why would you? What puts Echo in your brain to the same, I guess, pedigree as the Netflix series? Because that I think that's where probably my biggest gripe comes from. Is it is first TV mature thing. And I don't see why the hell it's rated TV mature at all.
I think the action is more in line with what we had. The fight in the first episode, the fight between her and Daredevil was good. That was a good fight. That was well choreographed. And I was watching a live video, and I had to. I'm not going to say who it was, but I had to unsubscribe. I just thought that, and these guys they did a video last week saying that they hated this episode, and then they said, "Oh, now we're going to watch it." And the name of the video is "We forced ourselves to watch Echo." Painful. And then they just went through the whole thing and they were saying, "Oh, the choreography of this fight is rubbish." I'm like, "No, you're dribbling." They were like, "Oh, they did this in John Wick and it was done better." And I'm like, "What? In a movie that was groundbreaking, a fight scene was done better." Well done, knobheads. But I thought it was great. But then okay, I'm in the third. I finished the third episode now, and I'm like, yeah, okay, not much else. There's been no more big action sequences.
There's not a single action scene. There's not an actual choreographed action sequence in the show besides the Daredevil fight, and that pisses me off. I do enjoy the show, but I don't. The thing that hurts me is because I don't want to yuck on your yum, because people like different things, so it's not like not everyone's gonna like the same thing always. But that's why you have a conversation and find the middle ground, find some compromise.
Yep.
I think the thing that I'm just hung up on is that it's rated TV mature, and while it pisses me off, I still think it's perfect in its own way because this feels like Disney's version of a TV mature. It's like, okay, this is your regular Disney Marvel TV show, but it says shit a couple times and it has a little bit of blood.
I'm not agreeing with you on that. I think the tone, don't get me wrong, it's still Disney. It's not as going as far as the Netflix seasons did. We're not having anything like that scene when the guy wouldn't he was so scared of the Kingpin he headbutted a spike and killed himself. Yeah. And then when the Kingpin the first time, because all the way through they were so good in the first season of Netflix that the Kingpin almost didn't seem like the bad guy, and then you saw him lose his shit on that Russian and take his head off the car door.
Man, sequence, not sequences, but scenes.
Yeah, we need to see a bit more of that going on. But I think it's more in that direction anyway. I'm not going to say it's as good as anything they did there. It's as good as the bad Netflix.
There we go. The thing that I think I'm hung up on is all the things that I've said, but truly, it just doesn't. It keeps being compared to those first couple Netflix shows, and I feel like it is probably fairly on par with Iron Fist season 1 at least, but it just ain't the rest of those Netflix shows. But I do think it's the perfect thing for Disney to make to get themselves into that field and into the mindset to do that kind of thing.
They're going in. It feels to me like they're going in the right direction.
Yeah.
They've decided to rewrite and restart Daredevil Reborn because they need to go more in this direction. They need to go further in this direction. They need to keep going on. This is the right path.
They do that.
The fight scene, right? Look, the comparison there, right? The fight scene with the Daredevil in this episode was supposed to really mark the beginning of Spotlight. It was supposed to be a big fight scene. Compare that to the corridor fight scene in the first season. Was it episode 3, 4 of Daredevil?
Okay.
When he goes to and gets the kid that's been kidnapped. That fight scene down that corridor was just ridiculous. It was. I mean, you remember, and this was 2015. Was it something like that?
Yeah, about that time.
Something like that. We hadn't really had a lot of the big Game of Thrones episodes by then. The shock episodes. I remember watching that and going, "That's as good as I've not seen a fight scene that good on television before ever." And it was really before streaming really kicked on. It must have been before 2015, 2014, wasn't it? Must have been
I'm trying to think, because House of Cards came out in 2013. Daredevil wasn't too far behind it, and House of Cards was their flagship show for Netflix. So it would have been 2014 or 15, I think.
I'm gonna have a quick.
It was longer ago than that, but still.
Yeah. TV series. I love this opening sequence. I've just seen a picture for the opening sequence as well. God, I love that with the thingy dripping down and everything. Yeah, 2015. The only thing that made me think about that then was 4 years later we were in lockdown. That didn't seem right in my head, but yeah. I just thought it was yeah. I know what you mean there. But the scene was based on the raid. I think it was a little John Wick as well. John Wick had been such a year earlier, had really impacted, and I think they were trying to sort of do a little bit of that with the one continuous shot sort of thing. You think it's one continuous shot, it's not, but you think it's one continuous shot. It was just phenomenal. Hey Ken, how you doing?
The only hallway scene that I might like better than that, non-Star Wars hallway fight scenes, would be the season 2. Even though season 2, I agree with you, isn't as good as season 1 or 3, it is the perfect bridge the gap to bring you into the Punisher show, of course, though. Mm-hmm. And the scene where Punisher has to fight his way, not out of the prison, but is fighting after getting beat up by Whisk.
He's just covered in blood at the end. Yeah.
It's intense. It's brutal. And that's what Echo being compared to those shows made me think I'm going to get something like that, especially with Wilson Fisk being involved and stuff like that. And that's just nowhere near what we got. And for right or wrong.
Obviously, we get Fisk in the Hawkeye series. Is this better than the Hawkeye?
No.
Actually, I disagree. I think it is.
I think the last 2 episodes are probably better than Hawkeye's last 2 episodes, but I would take those first 4 episodes of Hawkeye over the first 3 episodes, even the first 4 episodes of Echo any day of the week. The first episode of Echo is literally just recap. And then the 5 minutes at the very end of it is now we're going to get over here. And it's just her flying down to Tomahawk.
Yeah, there was a idea with this Disney Spotlight, and the idea being that you can just jump in and watch this series, and you don't need to have watched all of the other Marvel stuff to know what's going on. That's the idea of this Spotlight, apparently, that it's going to be almost standalone. Mm-hmm. But maybe that attitude or that plan kind of shit on the first episode a little bit, because they thought, well, we've got to explain it all then. And I was like, no, you don't need to explain it. I watched Hawkeye. You don't need to explain all this. And they tried to do it in a clever way. They tried to jump backwards and forwards and do it, but it didn't. That's what I said about the pacing in the first episode was a bit. It went on a bit, and I was like, they didn't need to do that, but they did it because of this idea that this series can stand alone. And I'm like, but it did go on a bit. But yeah, half the episode was a recap though, Saka, and that's
and it was a 37-minute episode.
Yeah. But let's see. I think this is a massive step in the right direction for Marvel. I don't want to say a lot more than that. I don't think saying and comparing the shows to the best of the Netflix seasons isn't fair. You're right, but it feels more like that's what they've got in mind, and that's a good thing.
At the end of the day, I think it's a good show. It's not necessarily it's not what I expected it to be, which is what I think is my biggest hang-up. But I think Disney is going to learn a lesson in that and say, like, okay, we're going to do our spotlight stuff, and it's going to be slightly different, and you can kind of watch it, I guess, by its own and all that kind of stuff. But I think this will hopefully dial them back from making claims like that. Or, I mean, they're hyperbolistic no matter what. I mean, one of the reasons they got people in the seats in general for the Marvels was because they put Captain America and Iron Man and everybody in all the trailers, and they're trying to trick you to go into watching something, and then you feel tricked after watching it. And that's how I felt with Echo, by everyone saying, this is going to be Daredevil, this is going to be the Punisher, this is TV mature, which is more than what Daredevil and Punisher were sometimes. Punisher was TV mature, but I think Daredevil started off as TV 14. So I was just expecting the world, and it just wasn't.
At the time, I wouldn't let my kids watch Daredevil. They were only like at 10 or 11, but we watched the first 3 episodes, and then we were like, we cannot watch the boys watch this. I think my one lad would have cried back then, but he was he didn't like violence and things. Right, I said, I'm really sorry about this, guys, but I promised I would be off by 6 because my wife is looking after the grandson. And I thought it's only fair that she's let me have an hour. I wasn't supposed to have my grandson tonight, but he decided that his mom and dad, please let us sleep, please. So I want to talk a little bit about what we're doing next week.
Oh yeah.
So we are doing a presidential debate on Brad Wright. I am going to have a look to see if we've had any votes on the thing. So what's the debate, young man? What are we talking about?
Well, as the great expansion of the questions were not the expansion of the questions, the consolidations of the questions was given to us at the beginning of the stream. I'm very happy to say that it is: should Brad Wright directly showrun the new Stargate series, or should someone any other person besides him possibly get that chance, that role?
I don't think I'm going to need to cheat on this one. Okay. So, Brad Wright needs to run a new Stargate show. A motion out of the decision, 59 votes, 88% are saying yes, he should be in charge. I actually think there is an argument to say he shouldn't.
Oh, I think there's way more of an argument to say that he shouldn't than there is. And I say that. I know everybody that watches this watched Stargate growing up. I watched it in the last couple of years. Hindsight's 2020. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have that conversation. We are going to have that debate. It will be that same format. We've got a few questions that we're going to think. I really want you guys to support this as well. Put comments on things. What are the major points? Are there questions you'd like us to try to answer in that? We've already had a bit of a think, haven't we, and sort of discussed a few things like Stargate Universe. Should we allow the person that showrun Stargate Universe, which was a failure, to now showrun a new series? Discuss. And obviously that's the bulk of that discussion is going to be, well, Stargate Universe, was it a failure? Come on. So we're going to be I am in favor of Brad Wright showrunning the new series, and Young Harris is against the proposition that he should showrun the new series. This is relevant in a way in that there is stuff going on. I can't really say a lot. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll be able to say more, but there is going to be some effort to support Brad Wright from the community. We're going to be involved in it, and there's going to be a very serious push to try to, one, prove to Amazon and MGM that Stargate should come back, even though I actually think that, honestly, from the people I speak to, that ship sailed. But anyway, evidencing it, and then evidencing that actually Brad Wright has that support from fans as well. And we're going to be involved in that discussion. So this for me is the start of that. I want to have this debate. I want to have this argument, and I want to, make both points, because there is an argument for both.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I say that, for me, take the emotion, and this is something you should. If I was you, if I was arguing your position, I would say take the argument out, take the emotion out of the discussion.
Yeah.
And you've got to. That's how we've got to think, because Stargate fans want Brad or Rob Cooper or somebody like that involved, but maybe the world has moved on. So we'll see.
I want to say a couple things, but I'm saving it for the argument, saving it for the debate.
Dave. No, actually, secular. I allowed Harris to pick. Thank you very much. So I am more than happy to argue either side of this. Because I can see an argument either side. And as we know as well, I just love arguing. We did that video on your channel, didn't we? And I picked
Greg,
that I did not agree with at all. It was the start of every question was like, right, I'm going to hell for this one, but I'm going to say it anyway. And there was I will quite happily, when we do these presidential debates, I will quite happily argue either side for most things, because I just like arguing.
And it's healthy to look at both perspectives too,
yeah.
Even if there's more than two perspectives too, just to try to figure it all around.
Yeah.
The illusion of Harris having a choice, precisely by me choosing, was, hey, we're doing this debate, and the choice was, so you're probably pro and I'm probably con, right? Yep.
Yeah. I say there was a choice. And yeah, the unions debate was great.
Anything else like that y'all want, let us know.
Yeah. You guys will be the moderator, but Matt will be sort of moderating. Our Stormy's not very well. He's really not very well. He's got an infection in his penis. No, sorry, just a bone. He's genuinely, actually, sorry. He messaged us saying, I've got an infection in my bone. And I went, a boner infection, immediately, because I'm a boy and I don't know how to respond when someone I actually genuinely care about is not well. So I have to make a stupid joke about it instead. So he's had constant penis references.
How you so low?
Yeah. He's really, really not well. He is actually in hospital.
But he's supposed to come back home tomorrow, right? Supposedly, it's supposed to be the earliest.
Tuesday now. Apparently it's a national holiday.
MLK Day tomorrow. Yeah.
And what holiday is it?
MLK Day, Martin Luther King.
Oh, okay.
And you were like, what's that? Oh, never mind.
MLK. I was like, murder, death, kill. Oh, no, that's not right. Murder, lick, kill. Martin Luther King. Yeah, so we don't have that here. No, it's not gonorrhea. Penis diseases are hard. That's 4 little words go all over the place there, don't they? That's excellent. Well done, sir. Yeah. But yeah. I will be sharing with Brad Wright, and now he won't be moderating. He won't be getting involved in this, but I will be letting Brad Wright know that it's happening, and the companion, and we'll see we'll see how he responds afterwards. We'll have a word. I should have asked Jen to come and moderate. Except she's nuts. She wouldn't be able to sit and listen to us speak for 2 minutes.
That's a good point.
You have to get involved. So, but yeah, it will be an interesting debate. It'll be an interesting argument. We had a lot of fun with the last one. We'll try and make it a bit slicker this time and be a bit more organized, because last time it was a bit like, who's talking now? I don't know. And yeah, mate, I wish I could get. Actually, no, I don't. No, thank you. Darren and yeah, they're nice guys, but they don't like getting involved with things like this. Yeah, they just don't. They don't like it. It's not
suggested to them.
It's not what they do. Yeah, they're nice guys. Sorry?
It said our Ken just posted argue with an AI bot.
Yeah.
Bad thing is that's not out of the realm of possibilities pretty soon, honestly.
We're not far off. I will out argue anyone though. Come on. Yeah, I'm looking forward to R. Jackson. Hello, sir. A new Stargate needs to be continued stand up and fight. Yeah, why not?
Hey.
Yeah, I could message those guys. They're good guys. But no, it's gonna be us anyway, and we will enjoy the argument. And as I said, we'll get it's this, but this is hopefully going to be the first step in a few projects in the next few months. Across a few, which Stargate, hopefully Gate World, Companion, a few other people will be involved in. And we're gonna team up against this thing. We will make this bitch happen. All right, I have to go, so I am out of here. My new video is premiering now, so my YouTube channel is freaking out right now. It's like, oh, there's 2 of you. I wish I'd changed it really. Jay's late. He lost his computer privileges. A little bit, actually. Like, kinda. My wife said, yes, you can go live, but if you're not down here by 6 o'clock, I will kill you. And so I am in trouble already. 1 minute past. Press and hold what? My phone keeps telling me weird things.
So real quick, just for the chat, before we head out of here, for these debates and stuff, having a guest moderator may be difficult because we're running it through StreamYards, and the person who is the moderator has to have the login for the account to get into everything.
Oh, yeah, so to be able to move.
It's probably always going to be one of us that's moderating. But if y'all have suggestions for, obviously, topics for debates, put them in chat. But
the
big thing is, if you want to do like Shuttle Pod versus Gate World or something like that, and we can work at making a video or getting together like a little debate, something like that, and us hosting that could be fun. But y'all let us know stuff like that in the comments, and we'll think about that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Why not? Hold and press to change your wallpaper. I don't want to change my wallpaper. Right, anyway. Guys, thank you so much. We will see you next week. We will be having our argument, as we always do. Guest could be a neutral body. Thank you, Sci-Fi Quest. But nobody's neutral when it comes to Stargate, damn it. We're all in favor.
For a movie.
Secular Monk, why do you want me to block you from the channel? I don't... and then come and find you and stab you. No, but he wants me to block him. Don't know why. And Sokar, you want to be blocked as well. This is so.
And David, right under. They're all teaming up on you.
Yeah, all these people that hate my channel so much, they want me to block them from.
They just love your channel so much they have to come bring you the good news.
Yeah, still 20 minutes left. Yeah, thanks, man.
Stormy's not here, so maybe not.
Let's just check before we go. And no, it's still two. Guys, thank you so much. We'll see you later. Have a good one. Have a good week, and we'll see you in the week. We'll see you on. We will be on M Cubed probably Wednesday. Yeah,
Wednesday for sure.
All righty. See you then, guys. Bye.
Yeah.
Oh, I pressed the wrong button.